I'm Cherry Flowers, and today we're going to be looking at freezing fruits and vegetables. We're starting with some really simple things that don't require blanching. Blanching is when you have to heat and cool something in order for it to be able to be frozen safely and in a way that will make it palatable when you eat it. So we're starting with fruit. Fruit is really straightforward to freeze. And one of the reasons you might want to freeze fruit would be that you, for example, would go to a berry farm and pick a whole lot of berries, and it's more than you can eat right now, so you want to save some for later. So I, for example, have just some really beautiful blueberries here, and so I wanted to freeze some of those. And they don't require anything special. Basically, it's just wash them, dry them, and then so if you wash them, you wouldn't want to put them into a bag to freeze them like this, because then they'd all stick together in a clump. So the bags that I use are a freezer bag. They're specifically designed. They're a quart-sized freezer bag. They're specifically designed for going into the freezer and protecting that product inside the freezer. They have a little spot on them for writing what it is. So I'm just going to put down that we have blueberries in here. The other thing I'll mention is that these are organic blueberries, and I use organic fruits and vegetables because then I know that they haven't been sprayed with something that's really a toxic chemical that could be bad for your health. So, but we still go ahead and wash them because there are things that could have gotten on them out in the field that we don't want to eat. So basically straightforward. If you're freezing blueberries, these have been washed and dried already. So it's simply putting them into the bag. And you could put more than this in there, but what I like to do to keep the freezer kind of organized and tidy is take as much air as you can out of the bag. And then usually I just will rearrange the berries in the bag so it's pretty flat so that you can stack a lot of them in the freezer together like this. So blueberries are a really great thing to freeze. Strawberries are great too. One of the things to think about is that, you know, they look different fresh than they do when they're frozen. So here's what frozen blueberries would be like. And then these are blueberries that were frozen and that have thawed. So you can see that what you might do with your fresh blueberries would be different than what you might do with your frozen thawed blueberries. So frozen thawed fruits might be used in a pie, or they may be used in you know, any kind of a crisp or something like that, as opposed to like fresh berries like this, you might just go ahead and throw in your cereal. So thinking ahead about what you're going to do with your frozen thing later is a great idea. Another thing that I like to do is when I end up with bananas, like I'm going to have a big bunch of bananas and some of them are getting too ripe. So then I'll take those bananas and put them into a freezer bag. When I put them in a freezer bag, I just squish them down a little bit because then they're easier to break apart. What I'm going to do with these, and actually with a lot of the fruit that we freeze, is use them in smoothies in the morning. So I can break these up easily and toss little bits into a smoothie. So another thing that you can freeze really easily is tomatoes and peppers, and those you can just basically, like a cherry tomato for example, wash them, put them, dry them, put them into a bag just like you would the blueberries. Peppers, what I would do is chop those up, and you don't have to blanch them or anything. You can just go into a bag. Make sure when you're marking your bag that you just use a pen. Using a Sharpie marker just isn't, it can actually go through the bag, and you don't want that in there with your produce. So, and that's it for freezing for this time. It's pretty straightforward. It's a great way to save things for later and keep things from going bad, help you save money, and then you have lots of things available for when you need them later. Thanks so much for joining us today.